The warning. The wind on planet Orinda was sharp and dry. Red dust swirled across the valley floor as human explorer Jack Moran walked carefully between the rocky cliffs. His scanner beeped, showing strange energy readings, weak, old, and hidden. Still, they were there. Jack wasn't here for treasure or glory. He had received a faint distress signal from this dead world. Everyone else had ignored it. But something about it pulled him in. As he moved deeper into the canyon, the signal grew stronger. His boots crunched over cracked stone and brittle alien bones. Something terrible had happened here long ago. And then, he saw it. A glowing pod, half buried in the sand. Its surface cracked but still pulsing with blue light. Alien symbols moved across the outer shell, and inside the pod he saw her. A young alien girl. She was floating inside the pod, eyes closed, skin pale blue with a soft silver glow. Her hair drifted around her like silk in water. She looked peaceful, but wrong. Too still. Too cold. Jack stepped closer. His visor scanned her condition. Life signs critical. Vital function collapsing. Status inactive. Time until complete shutdown 5 hours, 34 minutes. He frowned. Inactive? Suddenly the pod flickered, and a robotic alien voice began to speak in broken galactic basic. Unit inactive, awaiting bond. Without activation, system will fail. Subject will expire. Jack's eyes widened. Bond? What kind of activation? The voice repeated the same message. Without bonding, subject will perish, like previous units. Jack looked around. Now he noticed half-buried remains, other pods. Crushed, broken, empty. They had all died. Only this one remained. He pressed his hand to the pod's side. The girl moved slightly, pressing her hand to the same spot from inside. Her eyes fluttered open just a little, revealing soft silver pupils. She was still alive. Hold on, Jack whispered. I'm getting you out. He used a plasma cutter to break the weakened seal. The pod hissed, steam leaking out, and the top finally slid open. The girl fell forward. Jack caught her. Her body was light. Too light. Cold. She wore a thin silver suit that clung to her form but offered no warmth. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes opened fully for just a second. Human? She whispered. Jack nodded. Yeah, I'm human. Don't worry. She shook her head weakly. Too late. Like the others. I'm fading. Not on my watch, Jack said. He wrapped her in his survival cloak and activated emergency heating. She clung to him, slightly, her hands shaking. What's your name? He asked. She looked at him, blinking slowly. Sayla, last of my group. We were never chosen. So we died. Jack frowned. Chosen for what? To be bonded. To be touched. Without that, we break. Jack felt a knot in his chest. That's insane. You were made to need connection? She nodded faintly. We are born empty, to be filled. If not, we shut down. Jack stared at her, stunned. You mean they just leave girls like you to die if no one chooses you, her? Voice was barely a whisper now. That's the rule I was never wanted until now. Suddenly Jack's scanner blinked red. Incoming life forms. 4. Closing fast. He looked up. In the distance, shapes moved. Tall, armored figures stepping through the dust. Not here to save her. Here to finish the job. Jack stood up quickly, holding. Sayla close. They found us, he said. Hold on tight. He ran, boots pounding the dry ground, moving fast toward his hidden shuttle parked behind the ridge. Sayla's body was limp in his arms, but her eyes stayed on him, confused. You're running? I'm saving you, Jack replied. No one ever ran with me before. Jack tightened his grip. Well, I'm not like the others. Behind them, the soldiers raised their weapons. One shouted, Return the subject. She is a failure. Disposal is required. Jack kept running. I don't care what you call her, he shouted back. She's alive and she's coming with me. They reached the shuttle just as the first plasma bolt struck the rocks behind them. Jack leapt. Inside, slammed the hatch shut and fired up the engines. The ship lifted, engines roaring. Sayla lay strapped into the co-pilot seat, breathing hard. Her glow flickered but was still there. Jack looked at her. "I don't know how to save you yet, but I will." She gave a faint smile. "Even if I don't last, I'm glad someone finally saw me." The ship vanished into the clouds, carrying with it the last inactive girl who had never been touched. Until now. Hunted for her inactivity. The engines of Jack's shuttle roared through the sky. Sayla lay strapped beside him, wrapped in blankets. Her silver skin glowed faintly, flickering like a candle in the wind. Every few seconds, her chest rose and fell with weak breaths. Jack kept glancing over at her, his jaw clenched tight. Behind them, 4 enemy fighters were closing in fast. Jack's radar blinked red. "They're not giving up," he muttered. Sayla stirred slightly. Her lips moved. "Don't risk everything, I'm not worth it." Jack looked at her sharply. "You are. So don't talk like that." She closed her eyes again. "You don't understand. My kind was made to fade. If we don't bond in time, our system shut down forever." "I don't care how your people designed you," Jack said. "You deserve to live." He pulled the ship into a sharp dive, heading for the thick canyons of planet Vorshan X, a place full of magnetic storms and ancient ruins. No signals could get in or out down there. It was dangerous. But it was the best chance to lose the hunters. The ship shook violently from the turbulence. Sayla cried out in pain. Her body pulsed suddenly with a dull golden light. Jack steadied the controls and looked over at her. "Are you okay?" She opened her eyes slowly, her voice trembling. "The bond. It started when you touched me back in the pod." Jack blinked. "You mean the connection?" Sayla gave a weak nod. "Emotional, physical. We were created to need both. Without it, we wither. Your touch delayed the collapse." The ship landed hard between 2 broken mountains. Jack jumped out, lifting Sayla in his arms again. She was lighter than before. He moved quickly through the stormy dust, into a nearby cave, one he had used as a shelter years ago. He activated the camo shield and powered up the heater. Inside, the cave glowed softly from the emergency lights. Jack placed Sayla gently on the bedding, his heart pounding. She stared up at him, whispering, "Thank you for running. No one ever ran for me before." Jack sat beside her, wiping sweat from his brow. "What's happening to you now?" he asked. Sayla looked at her shaking fingers. "My energy is low. My body can't hold itself together without full bond energy. Emotional connection helps, but it's not enough." Jack frowned. "So what does full bonding mean?" She hesitated. "In my culture, it means being chosen. Fully. Mind, body, soul. But most of my kind never wanted us. They called us too needy. We were made to need too much. And so they let you die?" Sayla nodded slowly, one by one. Suddenly, Jack's wrist scanner flashed red again. Life forms approaching on foot. He peeked outside the cave. The enemy soldiers were scanning the area, moving slowly. They had tracked his energy trail but didn't know his exact location yet. Back inside, Jack whispered, "We don't have much time. I need you to stay quiet." Sayla looked up at him, weak but calm. "If they find me, they'll erase me. Not kill. Erase. Like I never existed." Jack's hands curled into fists. He stood, turned off all heat sources, and cloaked the cave even tighter. Then he sat beside her, placing his hand gently over hers. She gasped softly, her skin lit with a soft glow again, stronger than before. "You're triggering the bond again," she said, barely believing it. Jack looked at her. "I don't understand everything, but if holding your hand keeps you alive, then I'll hold it forever." Outside, footsteps grew closer. The hunters stopped right outside the cave entrance. One of them spoke in a deep robotic voice. "Scan shows faint life. But it's fading. Subject may already be dead. Another replied, "Leave her, we've wasted enough time on the broken ones." And then they walked away. Jack didn't breathe until the red dots vanished from his scanner. He looked down at Selah, her glow steady now, her expression peaceful. "Looks like I'm not so bad at bonding," he joked. She smiled for the first time. "No, you're not bad at all." Then her smile faded. "But the clock is still ticking. This is only the beginning. I will die unless the bond is made whole." Jack looked at her, quiet for a long moment. "I don't know what that means yet," he said, "but I'll figure it out. I promise." She touched his chest, right above his heart. "This is where it begins. The bond trigger." The cave was silent, but Jack couldn't sleep. Selah lay beside the small heater, her body still glowing faintly. Her skin shimmered in the dark, silver blue like starlight on water. She looked peaceful, but Jack knew better. Her glow was dimming little by little. He stood near the edge of the cave watching the jungle outside. The hunters were gone for now, but they'd be back. Jack's mind was racing. How could he save her if he didn't understand how her body worked? What exactly did bonding mean? Back on Earth, relationships were about time, talking, trust, shared feelings. But Selah was made differently. Her life depended on something far deeper. Selah stirred, eyes slowly opening. "You're still awake." Jack turned and gave a tired smile. "Couldn't sleep." She sat up slowly. "The connection is keeping me alive, but it's only a spark, not enough to light the fire." Jack walked over, crouched beside her. "Tell me what to do." Selah looked away, uncertain. "I don't want to force you. Bonding must come from choice, not pity, not fear." "It's not pity," Jack said. "It's something else, something I can't explain." She met his eyes, searching. "Then let me show you," she whispered. She reached out and gently touched his chest, right above his heart. Instantly, a pulse of warm energy flowed through them both. Jack gasped as images flooded his mind. Not like memories, but like dreams. He saw other girls like Selah, sitting inside pods, crying silently, their eyes full of hope that never came. He felt her fear, her loneliness, her body screaming inside for connection while her people called her a failure. He saw the moment he opened her pod, from her view. Her vision blurry, her body cold, but her soul lighting up the second he touched her. He felt it all. And then, silence. Jack opened his eyes. He was back in the cave. But something inside him had changed. He looked at Selah. Her breathing had steadied. Her glow was stronger now. "You shared your mind with me," he whispered. She nodded. "The bond is part emotion, part memory. It starts with trust, then grows." Jack stared at his hand. "I felt everything, like I lived it with you." Selah smiled softly. "That's what bonding truly means. It's not just about the body. It's about seeing the soul and still staying." The silence between them grew warm, but then Selah winced suddenly. She gripped her stomach. Jack jumped. "What's wrong?" Her voice was weak again. "My systems, rejecting the false link. I need full sync, not just memory, but contact. Real connection." Jack didn't move for a second. Then he sat beside her, gently taking both her hands in his. "No lies, no tricks. I'm not pretending to care. I do care." Selah looked into his eyes. "Then let me bond." She leaned forward, pressing her glowing forehead to his. Her breath touched his lips, warm and trembling. Their skin glowed together, his heartbeat syncing with hers. Jack felt it again. A pulse, but stronger this time. Not just memories, feelings. Real ones. He felt her fear of dying, her desire to belong, and slowly, under it all, a growing warmth. Hope. Then, a blinding flash of golden light. It filled the cave, flowing through the walls, shaking the earth for a moment like thunder. Then, silence again. Selah gasped, and her body slumped forward. Jack caught her in his arms. "Selah?" She slowly opened her eyes. And this time they weren't dull or dim. They were shining. "You did it," she whispered. "You triggered the bond." Jack stared at her, stunned. Her silver skin was glowing now with soft waves of golden light, her breathing calm, her hands no longer shaking. But then, a sharp beep echoed from Jack's wrist device. "Large vessel detected, incoming in orbit." He looked up. "They found us again." Selah touched his hand. "They'll know I've bonded. That breaks the old law." Jack frowned. "What law?" She looked out into the jungle. "Bonded girls weren't meant to survive. We were made to die quietly. But now that I've awakened, I've become something they can't control." Jack stood and grabbed his gear. "Then let them come." He looked at her, glowing, alive, stronger than ever. "I won't let them take you, not now, not ever." The false cure Selah slept peacefully for the first time. Her soft golden glow lit the cave like a small star. Jack sat beside her, watching her chest rise and fall. She was stable now, stronger than before. But the warning still echoed in his mind. They'll know she's bonded. And they'll come. Jack knew they needed more than just a cave to survive. He opened his old star map and tapped on a blinking dot. Outpost V-12, a forgotten science station hidden inside the remains of an ancient asteroid. It was once a human research base, full of alien tech, energy chambers, medical pods, and experimental bonding devices. "If I can boost her energy," Jack whispered to himself, "maybe the bond will hold. Maybe they won't be able to erase her." He looked over at Selah. She stirred gently and opened her eyes. "You're still here," she said, voice soft. Jack smiled. "I told you I'm not going anywhere." They left the cave before sunrise. Jack flew the shuttle through low orbit, avoiding scans from the enemy vessel still searching above. A few hours later, they arrived at Outpost V-12. It was cold, silent, and floating in the shadows of a broken moon. The entrance doors hissed open with a creak, lights flickering to life after years of sleep. Inside, dust floated like stars in the air. Selah stepped in slowly. "This place feels forgotten." "Like you were," Jack said quietly. Selah looked at him but didn't answer. In the lab's central chamber, Jack found what he was looking for, a biosync chair. It was made to link human and alien life forms using energy pulses. He studied the screen. The machine could force a temporary sync between heartbeats, thoughts, and cells. "Maybe this can lock the bond in place," he muttered. Selah tilted her head. "What if it doesn't work?" Jack looked at her. "Then we find something else." She hesitated. "Jack, I'm scared." He walked over and gently placed his hands on her shoulders. "You've survived being thrown away. You've survived fading. You can survive this. I'll be right here." Selah slowly nodded and stepped into the sync chair. Jack sat across from her in the second seat. He connected the wires between them. The screen began to glow. Sync initiated. At first it was gentle, a soft hum. The lights flickered as waves of energy moved between them. Selah's glow grew stronger. Her fingers gripped the chair as her body trembled. "It's working, I feel it." But then, the light changed. It turned harsh, bright white. The hum became a scream. Jack's chest ached suddenly, like something was being pulled from inside him. Selah gasped. "Jack, stop it, something's wrong." He reached for the power switch, but the system locked down. Override engaged. Full sync in progress. Selah screamed, her body convulsing. Her glow turned sharp and unstable, red and gold flashing wildly. Jack yanked the main wire out with a roar. Sparks flew. The machine shut down. The room fell silent again, only the sound of their breathing remained. Sayla slumped forward. Jack jumped from his chair and caught her. Her glow had nearly vanished. He held her tightly, heart pounding. No. Oh no, I'm sorry, I thought I could help. Her voice was barely a whisper. It wasn't real. Jack blinked. What? Sayla weakly touched his cheek. The machine. It forced the sync, but not the feeling. That's why my body rejected it. The bond has to come from inside, not wires. Jack held her close, guilt filling his chest. I just wanted to save you. I know, she whispered. But you already did. Back in that canyon gun when you chose me. Jack carried her to a soft bench and wrapped her in his coat. He sat beside her, shaking. I tried to cheat the bond. I thought maybe if I used the tech, I wouldn't have to go all the way. Sayla looked up at him. It's okay to be scared, Jack. I was too. But the bond isn't just about touching skin. It's about touching souls. Jack looked at her glowing eyes, even as her body trembled again. Then he gently took her hand and pressed it to his chest. No more shortcuts, he said. This time I give all of me. Sayla blinked, her glow rising again. Slowly. I feel it, she whispered. The true bond. It's starting again. But before they could rest, a voice echoed through the base, cold and loud. Unauthorized energy detected. Biosignal classified. Illegal bond. Prepare for purge. Jack stood up fast. They're coming again. Sayla stood too, shaky but determined. Then let them come. This time, and I'm not dying quietly, The chase begins. The lights in the outpost turned red. Warning. Purge protocol initiated. Jack grabbed Sayla's hand and pulled her toward the exit. The sound of grinding metal echoed through the halls. Automated defense systems, once offline, were now waking up. The place was locking down. They ran past flickering doors and rusted panels. Every few steps, Sayla stumbled. Her strength was coming back, but slowly. The failed sync had weakened her. Jack tightened his grip. We're not dying in this tomb. A loud bang shook the floor. They both stopped. A door behind them burst open and 3 armored figures stepped inside, taller than humans, wrapped in black and gold armor, faces hidden behind blank masks. The leader raised a staff that buzzed with red energy. The bonded unit is active. Return her or be eliminated. Jack stepped in front of Sayla, blocking their view. You're too late. She's not yours anymore. The figure stepped forward. You've broken a sacred rule. No unauthorized human may bind with a Class V bio girl. Release her now. Jack raised his weapon. Try and take her. The air went silent. And then, the room exploded into chaos. Jack fired first, blue bolts slamming into the walls. The enemies returned fire with precision. Sparks lit the hallway. Metal beams crashed down. Go! Jack shouted, pushing Sayla down a side corridor. They sprinted into the dark, Jack firing over his shoulder. One blast grazed his arm. He gritted his teeth but kept running. Sayla looked back and saw something she didn't expect. Jack was bleeding for her. He had no powers, no armor, no genetic enhancements, but he never hesitated. They reached the docking bay. Jack slammed the door shut and sealed it with a plasma weld. His old shuttle sat in the center, scorched, patched up, but still working. Jack helped Sayla into the co-pilot seat. Strap in. What about your arm? I've got 2, he said, smiling through the pain. The engines roared to life just as the main bay door cracked open behind them. The black-armored soldiers charged in. One of them shouted, "Stop them!" Jack punched the thrusters. The ship lifted, just as a blast tore through the floor behind them. They shot into the dark sky like a comet on fire. Inside the cockpit, Sayla turned to him. You risked everything again. Jack glanced at her. You're not just a mission anymore. She looked at him. What am I then? He reached out and gently touched her hand. You're the only thing that matters now." Her eyes glowed softly. The bond inside her pulsed again, brighter, warmer. For a moment there was silence and peace. Then the ship's radar beeped. Enemy vessel in pursuit. Range 800 kilometers, closing fast. Jack cursed under his breath. "They really want you back." Sayla looked out the window. "No, they don't want me. They want control." Jack thought for a second. "Then we stop being prey." He angled the ship sharply toward a nearby gas cloud, a dangerous zone known as the storm belt. It was full of plasma storms, radiation bursts, and lightning strong enough to tear apart ships. "Perfect." "Are you crazy?" Sayla asked. Jack smirked. "A little." The ship dove into the chaos. Lightning danced across the shields. The enemy ship followed, slower, more cautious. Inside the storm, Jack turned off the engines and dimmed all power. They drifted. Invisible. Silent. Minutes passed. Sayla whispered, "Do you think they'll find us?" Jack leaned back, still watching the scanners. "Not if we stay quiet." She reached over and placed her hand on his chest again. Her glow grew stronger. "I feel it," she whispered. "The bond. It's almost complete." Jack turned to her. "What happens when it is?" She looked into his eyes. "I become whole. I become free. I stop being a tool." Jack smiled. "Then let's finish what we started." Outside, the enemy ship searched the storm, but it never found them. The choice. The storm outside raged like a wild beast. Inside the drifting shuttle, all was still. Jack sat quietly in the dim cockpit, the flickering radar screen casting light across his tired face. Sayla rested nearby, her head leaning gently against his shoulder, her body wrapped in a thermal blanket. Her glow was warm, but faint. The bond had reached its edge. It was no longer just survival. It was time for something more. Sayla opened her eyes slowly. "It's almost time." Jack turned to her. "Time for what?" Her voice trembled. "The final step. To become whole. I must be claimed." Jack blinked. "Claimed?" She nodded, her eyes searching his face. "My creators built us to remain empty, unless chosen fully. Emotion, spirit, and body. Without all three, our systems fail. I've held on this long because you cared, because you ran, because you held my hand." She looked away. "But that's not enough anymore." Jack was quiet. "I don't want to force you," she said. "If you say no, I'll accept it. But the bond is waiting. If it doesn't complete, now it never will." Silence. The storm crackled outside. Jack stood and walked to the back of the shuttle. He stared at his reflection in the dark metal wall, worn face, blood-stained shoulder, tired eyes. He thought of Earth, of home, of all he'd given up. And then he thought of her. Cold and dying in that pod, whispering his name, glowing when he touched her, surviving when no one believed she should. He turned around. Sayla was watching him, heart in her eyes. Jack walked back slowly and sat in front of her. Then he reached into his pack. He pulled out a small silver coin, his last keepsake. "From Earth. My mother gave me this," he said. "She told me, when you give this to someone, it means you're theirs, forever." He placed it in Sayla's hand. "I choose you." Her eyes filled with tears. Her glow flared. The cabin lit with golden light. Sayla placed her hand gently on Jack's chest, and for the first time their bond activated completely. A pulse of energy exploded between them, not of machines or wires, but pure emotion. Connection. Soul. Jack felt her heart, steady and strong. Sayla felt his soul, deep and full of warmth. They weren't just bonded, they were one. The light faded slowly. Sayla looked stronger than ever. Her body glowed with a soft golden blue hue, her skin flawless, her eyes calm. Jack touched her cheek. "You're okay?" She nodded, smiling. I'm more than okay. But then, beep, the radar flashed again. An alien broadcast came through the static. Unauthorized bond complete. The human has broken the code. Prepare for judgment. Jack stood fast. They're still coming. Selah stepped beside him. Her voice was no longer afraid. Let them come. Jack looked at her. She was no longer trembling, no longer a victim, no longer inactive. She was alive, chosen, and ready. Outside the shuttle, the clouds parted. Above them, the massive alien ship appeared, dark, silent, waiting. Jack powered up the engines. You sure about this? He asked. Selah placed a hand on his. I've never been more sure. Alive and claimed. The sky above was dark and silent. The enemy ship hovered like a giant shadow over the storm clouds. Inside Jack's shuttle, everything felt still, except for one thing: Selah's glow. It was no longer weak or flickering. Now, it was steady, warm, alive. She stood beside Jack in the cockpit, wrapped in light and calm power. Her eyes were focused. No fear. No doubt. The bond was complete, and it had changed everything. A transmission came through. A cold, deep voice filled the ship. Return the bonded unit. The human has violated interspecies protocol. This connection is forbidden. Jack stepped forward. Then your protocol is broken. Selah moved beside him, her voice firm but soft. I'm not yours anymore. The transmission paused. This is your final warning. Selah looked out the window at the huge ship. I used to wait for someone to save me. Now I know. I was made to fight. She turned to Jack. Let's finish this. Jack powered up the ship. Together they flew straight toward the enemy vessel. The sky lit with plasma fire. Selah closed her eyes and focused. Her bond energy surged into the ship's systems, strengthening shields, guiding navigation. Jack had never seen anything like it. They dodged blasts with impossible speed. The alien ship launched drones. Selah raised her hand, and a pulse of light burst from her chest. The drones shattered mid-air, disconnected by her bond wave. Jack shouted, "How are you doing this?" She smiled. The bond didn't just save me. It unlocked what they feared. They reached the center of the alien ship. Jack docked inside, weapons ready. Together they stepped into the enemy halls, dark and cold, lined with silent soldiers. One elder alien stepped forward, tall, pale, robed in silver. You should not exist, he said. Selah stared into his eyes. I do now. He raised a glowing staff. You were built to fade. Jack stepped between them. She was built to be loved. The elder spoke again. What is she to you, human? Jack didn't hesitate. She is mine, and I am hers. Light exploded from Selah's body. The entire hall lit with gold and blue. The elder dropped his staff. All systems shut down. The enemy ship powered off, lights flickering, drones crashing to the floor. The soldiers fell to their knees. The bond had rewritten the code. Selah's existence was no longer illegal. It was undeniable. Back on the hidden green world, Jack and Selah stood atop a high hill. A soft wind blew through the trees. Their new home, far from war and rules, had grown into a haven. Other ships had come since then, not enemies, but others like Selah, alien girls, once dying, now glowing. Each one found by the signal Jack and Selah had built, a beacon of hope. They came scared. They left whole. One evening, as the stars lit the sky, Selah sat beside Jack under a silver tree. She held the coin he gave her in Part 6, the Earth symbol of forever. I was made to be forgotten, she whispered. Jack touched her. Hand, you were made to matter, and now others know that too. Selah smiled. Do you ever miss Earth? Jack looked at her. I used to. He leaned closer. But then I found you. They stayed there in the starlight, Not broken, not hiding, but alive. Claimed. Together. The end.